Hello and welcome. My name's Michael J. Penny. This is 5 Paragraph, and we are talking about the 5 Paragraph business plan. On this go around, I'm going to talk about why writing a business plan sucks, which might be a funny topic of discussion given we are 5 Paragraph business plan. So if you don't already have it, get the book, 5 Paragraph. All right, super simple, super thin, all of that other good stuff. Why is it? Because it's a workbook. You go through it, you carry it with you, you use it in business meetings, you do all sorts of good stuff with it. It's a great reference, great tool to have with you wherever you go. So it's called the 5 Paragraph business plan. Why writing a business plan sucks. Why does it suck? It sucked the first time that I wrote a business plan, I'll tell you that much. There are a lot of free resources out there, to include our own, that provide a template for writing a business plan. You can go all over the place. One of the first business plans that I ever wrote was on SBA, the Small Business Administration's business planning template. And I didn't have any additional knowledge. I had the template. I had the website, the resources, a couple of these other different various things that I could put into action. But of course, they're very, very, very broad because it's supposed to be a one-size-fits-all for your startup needs. And frankly, when you're looking at the whole forest, it's really hard to determine what trees you really care about. So my goal in writing an SBA business plan was to present something to an investor, actually the very first business plan that I ever tried pitching to anybody was a loan officer at like Mass Mutual Credit Union or something like that. Can't remember. It was right around the way from my house. And honestly, I walked there. It was in Boston. And I went in there with all of my papers and everything else, and they gave me the time of day, and that was great. And I told them that I would be back and secure funding and blah, blah, blah. And they gave me, good on them. They saw that I was very passionate and trying to be professional with everything. But honestly, I just didn't know what I didn't know, and I needed to go and get that education or start putting things together and run the organization appropriately. So I pursued education through a variety of different routes. I wound up going to school, wound up going through a number of different mentorship opportunities. Went through the Institute of Veterans and Military Families Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans. That was over July 2014 that I graduated from that. And that really got the gears turning because in IVMF, it put a deeper commitment to action, a bias towards action. And I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill when I was on deployment. Which some of these books, they're grabbers and stuff like that. Think and Grow Rich. You need to go through it and see what they're talking about in there and piece together the anecdotes and stuff, and you'll see exactly what I mean. There's just a lot of really great information in there about how the entrepreneurial brain thinks. So if you start going through it and you start having that burning desire, that passion to go it alone, well, not go it alone, but to take your vision and move it forward, and what can feel like going it alone. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a great text. So Think and Grow Rich came up a few different times when I was at Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans. And I remember this burning desire to just throw myself toward action, both after I read that text and after I went through IVMF. And coming out of IVMF and trying to figure out what I was going to do next, because my first company that had started coming out of the Marine Corps had failed at that point. Kind of an interesting story. I went to IVMF with a failed business and graduated. At the end of it, you do a pitch competition to judges who, it's a blind judging thing. They have never seen your organization before whatsoever. And so with a failed company, I won Most Outstanding Venture, which kind of sucked, to be honest. It was great. It was wonderful to win. But walking out of it, it's like, oh, man, I got a failed venture, but you're saying that I took Most Outstanding Venture. What does it really boil down to? Well, it boiled down to the plan and my ability to pitch. One of the things that everybody I ever pitched, and I've done hundreds of them now. That was probably the 30th or 40th pitch by the time I got to EBV, because I had been going around and selling product and doing all sorts of different things in a variety of different places. But what they really liked about my pitch, about the business plan and everything like that, is it's biased towards action. And the ability to say, we don't really have an answer for this phase in it yet. We have the expertise within the individual in that phase or in that point, right? So if you're doing research and development and you're the entrepreneurs bringing together all of the other specialty components, you write a business plan with a bias towards action. That's why it's, keep holding this up because it says action oriented, literally right on the cover. Anyway, so you write a business plan, you put all of the experts into place, and then those experts can be called upon at any given moment in time in order to share their expertise with the executive leadership and carry that vision forward. So Henry Ford is mentioned in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and if you don't mind, I'd kind of like to share the story without hacking it up too much. He was being accused of basically, he was actually very ignorant. He himself only received a high school education and all of these other things. So that's what he was being accused of. So in open court, he sues the journalist for slander, and in doing so, needed to answer a variety of questions from the attorney who was accusing him of being ignorant. And so all of these different questions, Henry Ford would answer to the best of his abilities. And then in so facto, the attorney says, well, clearly he's ignorant. And he goes, no, I understand business. I understand the entrepreneurial aspect of these different things. And I have on my desk a whole suite of buttons and levers that I can press. And when I need the specialist to be involved in that area of the plan, in that area of the business, then they're called upon. So no, I don't know everything about, my V8 motor. My engineers know everything about my V8 motor, and they are part of the planning and the visual process, or the visualizing process in putting together the overall executive business plan. And so that is a very wise maneuver right there, right? I've shared it with a lot of you guys before. Really great leaders focus primarily on the nouns. They work on hiring really great people, putting together an environment, a place that cultivates a really awesome culture that brings together people in a productive team, and then the things, right? So the things are the equipment, the gear, whatever they need in order to get the mission completed. So writing business plans suck because more often than not, we're writing business plans for all the wrong reasons. We go into it with the intention of going and securing money, right? Rather than this is literally how we're going to operate. Think about it. Write a business plan in how you actually want to work. Don't write a business plan trying to get money. Write a business plan for how you're going to run and maintain the operations. And I know that it kind of sounds like they're one and the same, but really, truth be told, they are not. The majority of business plans that you see that are just in vision mode, essentially, before they receive any seed capital, all of them are assumptions. They've done outside of the business or outside of the building market research. They've gone and pitched the idea to a number of different individuals, maybe pivoted on it a little bit. But it's crazy. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I worked as a director of programs, and all of these different folks that I worked with, it was crazy seeing the evolution in their business plans. I say it that way because it wasn't necessarily pitched to them or preached to them as a document that should live with you literally from the beginning of your business. It was something where you needed to go outside of the, you needed to tinker, you needed to come up with some sort of R&D or whatever the case may be on your invention, on your wicket, on your product, on your service. You go out and you test this and all of these different various markets and so on and so forth. I completely agree with getting outside of the building and doing all of those different things, but in my opinion, you're not actually measuring anything. You aren't planning the action that you're going to commit. So you're just outside of the business or outside of the building going, hey, how do we, what do you think about this? How would you interact with this? We're going to, share this overview with you and all of these other different things. I think a lot of people feel comfortable walking around with a why, how, what, or maybe the 5 W's and say, here's my product. What do you think about it? Well, think about getting to this stage, though. What did it take to get to this stage? 5-paragraph business plan. Before we actually wrote the book, we wrote a 5-paragraph business plan on what it would like to get to market. I think we're on version like 258 of this thing now. And why is that? Does that mean that you can just change it all the time and blah, blah, blah? Yeah, kind of, technically. Does it mean that you change everything and start from square one? Absolutely not. What you're doing is you're creating different iterations as you continue to move forward. So you have a start point, you plan, you act, you debrief, you compile your after action review or reports into reviews, and then you build another intelligence picture to move forward. Okay, so can you build a vision using 5-paragraph? Absolutely you can. Can you build an operational plan? Absolutely. Can you go out and execute in the field on a daily mission? Absolutely you can, and it's all right here. Writing business plans sucks. Writing a business plan sucks. It really does. I know that it does. That's why we created something, a new model, which renders the previous model obsolete. Because other business plans, traditional business plans, don't have a bias towards action. Now, that being said, earlier on in this video, in this live, I said to you that I went to SBA. And one of the issues that I had is that everything that SBA has to offer is extraordinarily broad. And I get that. It's a very big resource. This is excellent for bringing together knowledge workers, skilled laborers, under one roof in one team. This brings accountability across skilled labor and executive leadership. It brings accountability all the way down to the individual man or woman who is operating that piece of equipment out in the field. It brings accountability in intelligence all the way back up. It's right here on the back cover. This is your intelligence flow going all the way back up. Vision, operation, Frago, debrief, after action report, and then you keep that intel going back and forth. That's what we're talking about. All right, so this is a bias towards action. What I was looking around for specifically when I left the military was a planning process that allowed me to learn, very simply put, it allowed me to learn in a very easy and effective method to be able to go out and execute in business the same way that I could go out and execute as a patrol leader, go out and execute missions. And I was looking for that, not necessarily to be able to create a product for veterans or anything like that. It's because what I saw, so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked at a very big, huge corporate retailer. I wanted to get some sales floor experience under my belt. I wanted to understand some of that stuff that a lot of these folks learn, in the very lowest level within an organization. And so I sold televisions. Anybody who knew me back then, I showed up in a suit and tie into a retail location that you don't normally show up in a suit and tie in. But if you're going to sell high-end AV electronics and other stuff like that, it makes sense why you're, looking professional. So I would go in there and do that rigmarole, and it was fine. I would purposely do all of the not so fun jobs that people don't necessarily like for a couple of different reasons. One, experience. Two, they were willing to pay me extra to do it. And so I was willing to do it. That little bit of hustle. But I needed to understand how they were getting briefed, what they were going through, what it looked like all the way down at the lowest common, or the lowest level within the organization. I needed to understand all of that stuff to see if it was anything like what I was coming from in the U.S. military, and if so, what the breakdown would look like. Needless to say, it was not. It was just not at all like what I was coming from out of the U.S. military. So in looking at that and seeing what the briefings were and the lack of debriefs, in seeing what the reporting procedures were and how we could actually pass intelligence up to our higher and all of these other different various things. Could we communicate with our senior leaderships in an open door manner? Absolutely. Senior leadership always had that. All right, but it doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't necessarily have a method for being able to capture the intelligence on the back end. So writing a business plan sucks. because it typically only serves one purpose. That's to go out and raise money. That's the mindset that a lot of people get into. But if you look at it with a bias toward committing action, if you write a business plan that's full of goals that you must accomplish and you will freaking die trying, then 5-paragraph business plan is exactly what you need. It's super slim. It's super easy. You go through it. It's simple. It's got explanatory processes. There's no fluff to it whatsoever. It breaks it down for you, dare I say it, Barney style. And it is intended for anybody who has never served a day in uniform. Honestly, the 5-paragraph operations order is not what we're trying to teach you guys. We just put it in a super intuitive method for how we go and commit action. It's just that simple. It's very, very, very intuitive for how you think through a mission critical to the overall success of your organization. And that's exactly what you need. And you need to be able to adapt and overcome in the moment. And that's what we do. We break it all the way down to situation, mission, execution. Bing, 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 bing. Go out and execute. But I personally pride myself on the debrief, after action report, review, all of that other good stuff that goes into gathering that intelligence. And every one of your team members is an observer. So each one of you have valid observations that you could be writing down and bringing to each one of these debriefs and after action reports and after action reviews. That is how you create positive, effective change inside of an organization. We demand accountability. We demand accountability. We, as the led and as the leaders, demand accountability. That's why we use 5-paragraph. 5-paragraph business plan. It's available now, right now on Amazon. We really appreciate your reviews. Keep them coming. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Honestly, you guys are amazing. Thank you. Hey, Jenny, what's up? Long time no see. All right, so folks, I'm wrapping it up. I really do appreciate you checking out all of our videos. Please continue to share, and I will continue to go horse on each one of these videos, bringing it out there to the masses. For those of you who know, 5-paragraph is something that we are very passionate about. And we are very passionate about bringing accountability back to skilled labor, small business. This right here is how knowledge workers and skilled labor operate together in harmony while managing the chaos of war. It is a super intuitive method for being able to visualize, go out and operate, create an operational plan, and then bring an order all the way down to the lowest ranking individual in that organization so that everybody is on the same page. This works. It's been refined by the U.S. military over 240 years. And we brought that process into a action-oriented business planning methodology. Share 5-paragraph with everybody you know. We demand accountability. Declare your independence from the status quo. Take care, be well, and we'll see you on the next go-around.